Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about Arcane Mages in World of Warcraft. So this is going to be an Arcane Mage guide for PvE for patch 8.15. So through this guide we will be going through the stats, the Azerite traits, the talents and how you actually play Arcane Mage. So let's go through number 1 and let's start with the stats. So, as we're starting with the stats, I want to start about the recommended stat. So, here is the recommended stat, and as you see the stats, first of all, I have intellect. That is, you can say, intellect is like base overall, it increases all your damage, no matter what, and it's just good no matter what. So, you can never get too much intellect. Intellect would always be a good choice. The next one that will be the recommended one would be critical strike, and as critical strike is that a lot of your damage is going to be direct damage, no damage over time and so on. So all those direct damage and you're going to do fast damage is really good with critical strike, and even because you're going to make big numbers as Arcane Mage, you can say probably slowly, but those big numbers you want them to crit. After critical strike we are having haste as number 3 recommended one. Haste increases the cast speed of all your spells, and it also reduces the cooldown of Arcane Barrage. Just a note. The number 4 one is Mastery, and Mastery is quite cool. It increases your mana regeneration and it increases the damage you deal by Arcane Blast and Arcane Barrage, if I do not mistake. Yep. The last one is Versatility. It basically just increases your flat out damage, and the damage you take it reduces that. But those stats are the primary recommended stats, like out of the box. So if you are a new player and you go into the game, this will be the recommended one out of the box. But a new thing I'm going to recommend in my videos is actually that you sim your character. Because if you sim your character, you will get exactly the stats that you need for your character with the gear you have at the moment and talents and so on. So it actually sim your character is the best one to find the stat. So for example, I simmed my Arcane Mage, and when I simmed him, it actually said to me that I should get Mastery over Intellect at the moment. So I should focus on getting more Mastery, then Intellect, then Critical Strike, then Versatility and Haste. And it's kind of fun because if you look on the list on the right side, just over there, just under me exactly, you will be seeing that Versatility was the last one and Haste was number 3. But when I sim my character, it actually tells me, well, you kind of have enough haste and everything looks fine for your haste. You need more Mastery. Boom, 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 Mastery. So it's kind of cool when you sim your character, you will get exactly to know which stat you need most. If you don't know how to sim your character, I have made a movie also. I will leave a link down in the description where I tell you how to sim your character, where you can see exactly which stat you should get. So again, what you see just under me is the recommended stats, but if you want to have 100% sure which stat you're actually going to get, sim your character. Capiche? So yeah, that was the stats. So the next bullet point we're going through is Azerite traits. And Azerite traits, I will go through the outer ring and the middle ring. I will not go through the inner ring because inner ring is pretty much only survival. And I mean, I don't care about how you survive. I just want to show you how you should deal damage. So let's go through the Azerite traits and let's see which one you need. So let's go through the outer ring first. So the outer ring I'm recommending first at all, Equipose. I'm not quite sure how I actually say that. Equipose. So this is actually kind of fun trait. You can say it doesn't really change your rotation a lot, but it does something to it. So while you are above 70% mana, Arcane Blast deals additional damage, and while you're below 70% mana, Arcane Blast costs reduced mana. So this one here is kind of helping you to deal more damage when you are on high mana, and it helps you reducing mana or sparing on the mana you're using when you're below 70% mana. So this one here is really cool, and in your burn phase as Arcane Mage, this is gold, like golden trade. So I would say this one here, it's not a problem for me. You can stack this trade if you want. It's really good. So good at all. The next one is Treasure's Covenant, and Treasure's Covenant is like a trade that everyone is having good of. I mean, almost every DPS class in the game is having Treasure's Covenant as a top 3 because it increases your primary stat by quite a lot. So Treasure's Covenant is definitely a good one, and you should also focus to get that one if you cannot get Equipoise, but still it's really good. Overall, it's really good. So after Equipoise and Treasure's Covenant, those two was like the meta are having. They're like the big one when you look on the DPS meta when you actually sim the talents. Sorry, not talent, Azerite traits. Endless Hunger and Blightborn Infusion was just like after Treasure's Covenant, but I mean Treasure's Covenant was this big in the sim, and Endless Hunger was like this in Blightborn. So you could say Equipoise and Treasure's Covenant is really gold, but Endless Hunger and Blightborn Infusion are like, those are just the next, but they are way down and then they are the next. But they are fine. I mean, either one of them give you more versatility and the other one gives you more critical strike. So you could say, what does your simming or stats telling you right now? Should you focus for more crit or versatility? And then you can go which Azerite trade you have, if you even have the possibility to choose between these two. So that was the outer ring. Let's go through the inner ring now. Oh, sorry, middle ring. So the middle ring, I'm recommending most of all Overwhelming Power. Overwhelming Power is giving you such a lot of stacks of haste. It's giving you so much haste just passively all the time. So I would 100% say Overwhelming Power is like a really good one, and I really recommend it. After that one, it's pretty much up to you. God Ripper and Heed My Call are both really strong, but God Ripper is like the best one on bosses and targets who are going to be alive for a long time, even when they hit 30%. And Heed My Call is like better for trash mobs and for quick bosses or quick mobs that's dying fast, because it deals more damage at Heed My Call and it deals AoE splash damage. But God Ripper, when the target gets to 30%, it deals so much damage because it's like an execute phase. It happens double the times it deals damage. It will be increased by the double time it will deal damage. So it will just deal a lot of damage, but it requires that the mob is below 30% health, and that requires it's only good on a boss that will be alive for a very long time after 30%. Else Heed My Call is probably maybe the best one. But again, it's up to you. God Ripper and Heed My Call is so close to each other, so who cares? So that was the stats, Azerite traits and talents. So no, what am I talking about? That was the stats and Azerite traits. The next point we're going to talk about is the talents. So I'm going to switch over to my talent screen and let's talk about the talents. So, the talents. So first of all, let's go through each row one by one, and I will explain which talent that I suggest, recommend, and what scenario can you actually use it for. So I will not be like just saying that you need that, and just leave the guide. I will really tell you why I like it and why I should use it. So let's go with the first row. So in the first row we have Rule of the Freeze. So Rule of the Freeze is the best one for single target and cleave damage. But if you're going against a lot of mobs, so like plus 8 to 10 mobs, Arcane Familiar is actually helping a bit here and it's better. But I mean, how often is it that you need to be the best DPS on 8 plus 10 mobs? It's like, nah. So I would probably say Rule of the Freeze is like a major one that will help you in single target, and 1 to 7 mobs or something, this one will be the best one. So Rule of the Freeze is really good and it helps you damage so much. The next point is this is well, you can say the battle is between Shimmer and Slipstream. So Shimmer is like giving you 2 blinks, and you can blink while you actually cast spells. But Slipstream, I like that one really, because clear casting allows arcane missiles to be channeled while moving, and evocation can be channeled while moving also. So that means when you have to do evocation, you don't need to cancel it even though you're standing in fire, because you can just move out of it. But Shimmer is also nice because while you actually are using evocation, you can now blink with Shimmer out of the fire. So it's kind of which one is coolest, but it's up to you which one you best like. The next row we have the battle between Incanter's Flow and Rune of Power. So on paper and on bosses where you can actually stand still, Rune of Power is the best one for damaging on paper, on damage meter, if you can stand still. If you don't have the chance to stand still because of the bosses are making a lot of fire, you have to move a lot around for dealing damage to trash mobs, etc, etc, then Incanter's Flow is the best one. So I will probably say that Incanter's Flow is best in 7 out of 10 scenarios, because on trash mobs where you run around, it's best. On bosses where you have to move around all the time, it's best. But if you know you're going to be on a boss where you can pretty much stand still and just damage a lot, well, Rune of Power is going to be the best one for you on damage. But again, it's up to you if you want to have that damage boost, but you need to be reliable on if you actually can stand still. So that's it. The next row we have the battle between Resonance and Charged Up. So Charged Up is the best one on single target, and Resonance is the best one on multiple targets. The reason for why Resonance deals best for multiple targets is because per target hit it actually deals damage though. It deals 10% more damage. So that means if you have 4 arcane stacks and you use Arcane Barrage, you can hit up to 4 additional targets. And then it deals with this talent here 40% more damage. Charged Up is only giving you 4 arcane charges, so of course you could say, but then I can use Arcane Barrage instantly and deal more damage to trash mobs. Well, that's also correctly, but if you are in a fight where you have to kind of deal damage all the time, then Resonance will deal more damage in overall, because this one here has a 40-second cooldown and this one here is a passively all the time. But again, single target wise, this one is best. Multiple target trash mobs, mythic dungeons, probably this one is best. But again, if you want to be the top damage on bosses, this one, trash mobs, this one. Up to you. On the next row, the only talent that is actually helping you in raids, dungeon mythics and so on, I would probably say, is Chrono Shift. Arcane Barrage is now slowing enemies, and it also increases your movement speed. Ice Ward on Ring of Frost is like meh. It's up to you. I mean, this row is not giving you any damage boost, but I like Chrono Shift because it gives you self movement speed all the time when you use Arcane Barrage. On the next row we have a battle between Touch of Magi and Riverbead. So Touch of Magi is the best one for single target. Arcane Blast has 10% chance to apply a Touch of Magi that will deal 15% damage, explode on the target. After 8 seconds it will poof, explode, and deal a lot of damage. Riverbead, if Arcane Explosion hit at least 3 targets, it has a 40% chance to generate an extra arcane charge. That means that it will make, if there's more than 3 targets and you actually can be in melee, Arcane Barrage needs Arcane Explosion you need to be close to the enemies. So if you can be close to the enemies and there's more than 3 targets, it has a chance to give you more arcane charges, and that means you can cast more Arcane Barrages. So that's why Riverbead is best for, you can say, multiple targets, well, +3, but on boss fights, Touch of Magi is going to give you much more, or single target, or 1 to 2 targets. So again, single target wise, we have this build here, and multiple targets, it will be the other one what I mentioned, like this one here, yeah, that will be it for multiple targets, I would normally say. Okay. And then we have the last row. So the last row is, you could say, overpowered is the best one single target wise. Time anomaly is just behind. It's just behind. So it's not better than overpowered, but it's just behind. So that means if you don't like overpowered and you really like to play with time anomaly, you are allowed to play with it. But overpowered is the best one single target on paper. So single target if you want to be the most damage, overpowered is the best one. Time anomaly, if you like to play with it, if you think it's funny to play with, it's fine, use it, but it's not as good. I mean, it's a teeny bitty damage difference. Arcane Mage Orb is definitely winning on multiple targets, as it will deal a lot of trash mob AoE splash damage. So it's really, really good. It's like the frozen orb, you can say. Weird. So we can say single target damage, we have this spec. Multiple targets will probably look something like this. But I mean, normally I just play with my single target build and it's the best one on bosses. So that's the talents. So we have been going through, if I take my microphone over here, we have been going through stats, the Azerite traits, the talents, and the last row we're going through is the gameplay. So the gameplay, I will kind of learn you how to open up, how to deal damage, how to play, what should you be aware of, and what should you be doing while you play Arcane Mages. So let's switch over to the gameplay dummy and let's talk about the gameplay itself. So the gameplay section. So the gameplay section is a bit, I would say normally when I make a guide, I have like an opener and during a fight. But as an Arcane Mage, you actually have a burning phase and you have a converse phase. The burning phase could probably be very close to also the opener. But it's because as an Arcane Mage, you have your mana. And you're going out of mana a couple of times as Arcane Mage. And while you have a lot of mana and you have your cooldown called Arcane Power active, basically that's your burning phase. Then when Arcane Power is finished and you're finishing your burning phase, you will pretty much be either out of mana, or you could say you could say when your mana is finished and you're using evocation to get mana back or so on, and you're waiting for Arcane Power to be ready again and you have low mana, you will go to converse phase, else you would be in your burning phase and deal a lot of damage. So let's go through each of the steps first. Let's start with the opener, also close to calling the burning phase. So in your opener, and also you can call it a burn phase. So first of all, of course, an opener is an opener, but every time you have your spell active, well, cooldown ready called Arcane Power, you have your burn phase also ready. You can also say every time that you have evocation ready, you have kind of also burning phase, because in your burning phase you will be using Arcane Power and then you will be using all your mana on damage. After you finished your damaging, you're going to use evocation as a mana restore. But when you don't have an evocation ready, it's not very good to use all your damage again and go low on mana and just stand and just wait for nothing. That's the converse phase, where you have to be clever of what you're actually using your spells for and your mana. So let's go through each of them first. So in your burn phase, the first thing you are going to do is pretty much, let's scroll down here. So let's imagine this is the boss, and this guy here is the tank. So the tank is now going towards the boss, and when I know that's like 2 seconds before he actually hit the boss, I will be casting Arcane Blast and hit Arcane Blast on the same time with the tank. as the tank is damaging the boss. So you precast Arcane Blast as the first thing. Then if you are talented Charged Up, you will be using Charged Up. That will give you instantly 4 arcane charges, and if you're talented Rule of the Freeze, you will now have a free Arcane Blast. The next thing now is that you're going to use your Arcane Barrage or Arcane Blast after you have used Charged Up. So a very important thing here in the opener is that when you use your Arcane Blast in the start together with the tank when he attacked, it's very important. If your talented Charged Up, you either use that one to get up on 4 stacks. If you don't are talented Charged Up, you have to use 3 times more Arcane Blast, and then you will be ready for the burning. So either you have Charged Up where you will immediately go up, boom, ready for dealing damage, but if you don't, you have to build up 3 more Arcane Blasters, and then you will be ready for the damage. That's why Charged Up is really good for single target. So again, precast Arcane Blast, the tank attacks using Charged Up. Now I have full stacks. So now you could probably say, now is the time to use Arcane Power together with all your racials buff also. The thing is that this Rule of the Freeze is actually reducing the cost of your arcane charges. It reduced the cost of your Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles by 100%. So I would actually say before you use Arcane Power, I would use 1 more Arcane Blast while you have 4 arcane charges, because it will be free. Normally let's just get up on 4 again. Normally it costs 5,000 mana, but because of my third one I get from this one, it will be free. And if I used it, well, you can say the reason why the Arcane Power is really good, because you deal 60% more damage and your spells cost 60% less. So it kind of helps you with dealing more damage because it reduces the mana cost. But if you use that spell and then you use the first spell as a free spell, it doesn't really make sense. So I would say, let me just get rid of all these charges. So again, the first thing I will do is precast a spell together with the tank, use my Charged Up. So now I have 4 stacks and I have a free Arcane Blast. Then 1 Arcane Blast again because it's free. And now the burning phase will begin, where you use Arcane Power. When you use Arcane Power, it's very important that you know what to do while Arcane Power is active. While Arcane Power is active, you should try to aim and get out as many Arcane Blasters as possible. You should never use Arcane Missiles or Arcane Barrage while you have your Arcane Power on, because Arcane Power, well, if you use your Arcane Blast, it will be pretty, you can say, wasted if you begin to use any of the other spells. So because let me show you here. Here we go. So let's try and make a real one this time. So precast Arcane Blast, use much Charged Up, use 1 free Arcane Blast, now Arcane Power, and now I just have to deal a lot of damage with Arcane Blasters. You can see how much it deals damage. 1 second before it goes out, use Presence of Mind and 1 free Arcane Blast. Now you're probably thinking, what did you just do? And what I did was, let's go through the whole rotation again, just one more time so you don't miss it. I precasted 1 Arcane Blast. Then I used Charged Up to get full stacks of Arcane charges. Then I used 1 free Arcane Blast because of my talent here. And then I used my Arcane Power, where I deal 60% more damage and my spells cost 60% less. That means you are now allowed to just spam Arcane Blasters as much as you want. But you want to use 100% of all your Arcane Power. So when there's like 2 seconds before, or 1 second, well, probably 2. When there's 2 seconds before Arcane Power is going out, you don't have the time to maybe cast this last Arcane Blast. So that's when you're going to use Presence of Mind. That will make your next 2 Arcane Blast instant cast, and then you can see if you can get in quick a last 1 Arcane Blast before it actually goes out. that's a cool trick. That's a really cool trick. So with using Presence of Mind just in the last bit, you will be able to use one more Arcane Blast than you would normally with Arcane Power active. So let's go through the opener again. So the opener and the burning phase will be like this. I will precast Arcane Blast, charged up a free Arcane Blast, use my Arcane Power, and now I just spam as many Arcane Blasts as I can. Boom, 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 boom. And now it's going out. Presence of Mind, Arcane Blast, Arcane Blast. And now, while you have, you can say, now in your opener, before you were not allowed to use Arcane Missiles when it actually procs. But now you are allowed. Still, your main goal is just to spam Arcane Blast as much as possible. Don't use Arcane Barrage. Arcane Barrage is for trash mobs and when you have to drop down and get more mana. So still, right now after your burning phase, when your Arcane Power is going out, it's important that you just still spam Arcane Blast as much as possible. Just spam it. And every time now that clear casting, where you're going tank, every time your clear casting is proccing, you are allowed to use Arcane Missiles. But only when clear casting is proccing, never ever else. Now I'm out of mana, and now it's time to use Evocation. And as you can see, my Arcane Power is still not ready, so I don't want to go out of mana before Arcane Power is ready. So, because if I go out of mana now, what should I use my Arcane Power for then? Then now we're going into the converse phase, where we are going to be like resting up mana, saving mana. So we are going to get up 4 arcane charges in our converse phase, 4 charges, and every time we get 4 charges we can use well, it's pretty much you can use your Arcane Missiles when they are ready. We can use Arcane Barrage every time we get on 4 charges, because we don't want to use too much mana. So you can see, while I actually don't have 4 active stat of these, I don't use a lot of mana. So Arcane Barrage, and you can say kinda, but it's okay to still use more mana on Arcane Blasters while Arcane Power is not ready, because you just want at least 60%. Well, actually you just want 30% of your mana when Arcane Power is ready. So you could say you can use all the procs on Arcane Missiles, you can use your Arcane Blast as much as you want, and your procs of Arcane Missiles, but don't get below, I would say 40 to 30%, 30 to 40% mana. So you can see now, before I was on 20, that's not allowed. So as long as you have plus 30%, you will be ready for a new burning phase with Arcane Power, and then you can say, okay, let's do it. And I will be using my Arcane Power, and now I will be spamming my Arcane Blast again. Spamming. Never use Arcane Missiles in my process. Presence of Mind, 1 free Arcane Blast, and now I will be able to use my Arcane Missiles. But I'm still in the burning phase, so that means I'm not allowed to use Arcane Barrage. I'm only allowed to use Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles. Now I'm out of mana, and I need to use Evocation. And back to the converse phase, where we are now just going to be using, every time we get 4 stacks, almost, we're going to use Arcane Barrage. But again, we are allowed to use Arcane Blast more times without using Arcane Barrage, as long as we don't get too low in mana. So you could say I can go down in mana now. Go down. Okay, stop. Arcane Barrage, Arcane Missiles, clear casting, and kind of be in this level of mana. So don't get below this mana level, but just, you can see now I'm pretty low in mana and I'm not allowed to be this low. So kind of try to stay on plus 30% and not go below that until my Arcane Power is actually ready. And I can see my Arcane Power is ready in very soon. So now I should probably, begin to use more Arcane Barrages, kind of beginning to get more mana back. So you can see here, okay, so we use the last one, and now burning phase. So charged up Arcane, so charge up to get full stacks, and now just spam Arcane Blast, spam. Arcane Power is done. I should also have used Presence of Mind. clear casting on Arcane missiles. And now it should actually be ready for evocation, but I was too fast in this time. Okay, evocation is ready, and boom, converse phase again. So you can see here we have a burning phase. The burning phase and opener is kind of the same because it's just the same opener you're repeating all the time. So I mean we just have like 3 abilities we deal damage with, but still it sounds more difficult than other damaging spell or damages in this game. So I hope this makes sense, that you kind of have your first phase where you're burning a lot of damage and mana, then you have your converse phase where you're kind of trying to have a stable 30-40% mana, and then burn again. And yeah, so again, when you have your Arcane Power active, it's only allowed to use Arcane Blast. When Arcane Power is not active anymore and you're still in your burning phase, you're allowed to use Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles every time it procs, but never ever use it without a proc. And then when you get to your mana phase where you use evocation and have to kind of hold a 30-40% mana, you're allowed to use all the Arcane Blast you want, but every time you get a low mana, use Arcane Barrage to stop your 4 stacks, and still use Arcane Missiles every time you get the proc. And try to see if you can maybe, I mean, charged up is allowed to be used in both the converse phase and burning phase, but always have it ready when burning phase begins. Capiche? So that was Arcane Mages. I think this video got very long. But I mean, Arcane Mages is it's a cool spec. I mean, it's a really cool spec on how Blizzard can make a spec with 3 spells so different. It's really different. I mean, it's a really cool spec. So really enjoying playing it. I mean, it's really fun. I mean, also making this guide, I was like thinking, wow, why I'm not maining this spec. But really fun to play Arcane Mages. I understand why you see so many Arcane Mages around in raids, because it's really fun. If you know how to use this burning phase and converse phase. So again, thank you guys for watching this guide. This was an Arcane Mage guide for patch 8.15, and I'm kind of just trying to make you all understand how to play Arcane Mages on a very basic level. I would also say a good level, but I'm not teaching you how to be a pro. That's up to you to be a pro, but I'm just learning you the core principles of playing Arcane Mage, and from here on it's your job to get up there on the pro leaderboards. So again, thanks you guys for watching this guide, and yeah, leave down a comment. What did you think about this guide? Is there any bad things you want to say about the audio, the video, the clippings, anything? Let me know. I really want to know if anything is bad in this video, so I can improve my other videos in the future. So thanks guys for watching. Thank you guys for commenting, liking, everything, and see you in the next video. Peace out.